Well, shaking people. Back with another reaction, back with some more Duran Duran, and we're going back to another one of their self-titled albums. So this time we're going to go to the 93 self-titled, which is popularly known as the Wedding Album. We're going to listen to the fourth tune on the album. I am going to come back to Ordinary World. I mentioned it before. I reacted to the version on Greatest, and apparently that's the single version, or like the radio edit. And Izzy World and a couple other people pointed out that the instrumental sections on this album version are a little bit longer. The tune takes a bit more sort of temporal and sonic space. So I'm looking forward to going back to that. Plus, I sort of misunderstood the lyrics, or so I had read something online that I think had largely missed the mark. And I would like to talk about how my understanding now is that the song was one of a few songs that Simon Le Bon wrote in sort of trying to get through the stages of grief and sort of come to terms with a close friend of his dying. And so, I'd kind of like to get a reset on that song eventually. But I'm going to come back to that after I go through the rest of the album. So now we're going to listen to the fourth tune, which is called Drowning Man. I forget who it was. There are more comments on the channel these days, which I am so greatly appreciative for. You don't even know. But it does mean, because my short-term memory and my brain is a bit scatterbrained, ultimately I don't remember who made the request, but someone did shout this out as like, hey, you should react to Drowning Man. That's a really cool tune. So I'm interested to do this, and I got to admit, the title is sort of macabre, or like ominous. It really does convey an image of someone struggling at the surface for trying to stay alive and trying to continue breathing without being submerged into the depths of something that can kill them. So whether that is a metaphor or whether it's a sort of visual tone poem, we shall have to see. But yeah, the title is a bit ominous, and it has a sort of power to it. So yeah, let's see how that manifests. As far as I know, I don't remember this song. As I mentioned before, a couple of songs from this album I very much remember in the 90s, and again, I talk about it as a sort of comeback album as I understand it. It makes perfect sense because I knew their stuff from, especially from Rio, like Hungry Like the Wolf and Save a Prayer and Rio itself, and then I kind of lost sight of the group. And then in my teens, I remember seeing Come Undone and Ordinary World on MTV and hearing them on the radio all the time, and it was like, oh man, they're still making cool music, like wow, I didn't realize. So those tunes I definitely remember, but as far as I know, the rest of the album should not be familiar to me, or if it is, I don't remember it by name. So let's get to it. This is Drowning Man by Duran Duran on their 1993 self-titled album. Oh wow, I wasn't ready for that. I like the piano, got some energy. Like kind of wicked 80s guitar feel almost, even though I know it's 93. Oh, what? I wasn't ready for that either. Oh, that's a kick drum that wouldn't be out of place in like slower tempo techno tune. That's like it's a kick with some real power. Again, this group will never stop amazing me, and I'm like 3 or 4 weeks into this deep dive, and like, got some money in there. Guitar, that really high, again, I was calling like 80s guitar because there's some 80s songs I can think of with that real high wailing kind of guitar, but it's also got this dance groove. It's like, there was a moment where I was feeling it almost kind of had like a sort of like dancey but also bassy funky groove of kind of like a Michael Jackson tune, like and again, there's some keyboard layers that remind me of like Green Onions, that jazzy tune. Oh, echoed vocals. Again, I think it's a guitar. Maybe it's a sample guitar, but whatever that is, like high up. Oh. And there's a horn in there too. Yeah. Those layers, it's like that sort of like, again, Green Onions kind of keyboard element. There's that little horn blast. There's that sort of like frenetic, like staccato synth. Washed out vocals. Oh. The guitar like really coming to the fore now. This is my moment. Well, I don't know what I expected necessarily by the name Drowning Man, but I'll admit, I don't think I expected this. But I say that in the like most enthusiastic way, that like the song has surprised me at multiple points already. Again, it's got a house feel. It's like it's synth pop, but it's also like 4-to-the-floor kind of dance style. Oh. Like a dying kind of Hoover sound, which like, you know, in the hard house world, Hoover is like, or Mentasm if you want to call it that. It's a very specific sound. That was kind of like the light, like slightly more melodic version, but this is a groove. Yeah. I wondered if they were going to come back in, and before I could articulate the question, those keys were like, hey, I'm here, don't worry about it. That little brass. But it's like synth brass. It's like, because it has like a squiggle, like a slide to it. Cool. Again, I did not expect that funky and sort of groovy of a tune with the name Drowning Man. I maybe thought it'd be a bit slower, a bit darker, maybe a bit more like sort of ethereal, but no, that was just sort of like, you know, get on the dance floor, get grooving, you know, kind of feel the different layers. But once again, it's another song that I think sort of incorporated a couple different sort of elements. You know, there were multiple synth layers, I want to say. There was that sort of groovy overall sort of construction, and then, like I said, that kick drum really impressed me when it came in. You know, again, I listen to a lot of music, including, you know, like hardcore and gabber, where the kick drums are just monstrous and thunderous. But for like a groovy kind of like house dance track, that had like a really powerful kick drum. I love it. So yeah, let me know what you think. I forget who had mentioned this tune beforehand, but shout out to them. I see why it was a tune that you'd be interested to see a reaction to, or to talk about. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what else is remaining on this album that you're excited for me to get to. A couple people have talked about, what is it, Sin of the City. I've heard a few people say that that is a major tune. I do have to point out also that that is the last tune on this album, and someone just said within the last like 24 hours, because I had done a reaction to The Chauffeur like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, and when I did that I was like, whoa, like, number one, that is one of my favorite tunes I've heard from them overall. Number two, think about ending an album with that tune. That is such like a statement song, like boom, we walk away after you've heard that. Think about that song. Think about this album now that it's over. It just struck me as such a perfect tune to end an album with, and someone said, hey, they do that with like every album. They are no joke when it comes to figuring the right song to leave you with as the album ends. So very much looking forward to that, and given what people said about Sin of the City, it seems like that's probably the case with this album too. So yeah, big ups to all you who've been commenting. I really do appreciate it. You know, the Depeche Mode fans and other people, like for other bands that I've been reacting to, some punk bands that I've been reacting to, there's sort of like a steady group of people who have enjoyed and commenting. But the Duran Duran fans have really sort of taken this channel to a new level. I really appreciate all of you. I'm just excited because like, I feel like there are people sort of helping me and enhancing my appreciation as I go on this journey through Duran Duran's catalog. So big ups to all of you. I mean, there's like Johnny's been commenting a lot in the last couple of days. Like seriously, you know, Izzy World and Suzanne and a number of people. You all are awesome. So big ups to all of you. I'm gonna keep going through their songs. Hopefully you're here for it. I will see you next time.